Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the South Side Mayoral Forum. Thank you all for being here, whether you're a longtime resident, a first-time voter, or one of our candidates. Your presence shows how much you care about the future of our community. I'm April Monterosa, publisher of Live from the South Side magazine. Standing before you tonight is an honor as we come together for an important conversation. Thank you to Palo Alto College for allowing us to use this beautiful auditorium. Let's give it up for Palo Alto College. This college has always been a vital part of the South Side, and we're grateful for their support. Thank you to KSAT for live streaming tonight's forum for those who couldn't attend in person. Live from the South Side magazine proudly partners with KSAT, and together we're committed to keeping our community informed, empowered, and united. Your partnership helps ensure everyone has access to this important discussion, no matter where they are. Thanks a lot to our sponsors, partners, and volunteers. Let's have a great forum and keep building a stronger South Side together. Tonight is about listening, learning, and coming together. Our candidates are here to share their vision, and you're here to ask the questions that matter most to our neighborhoods. But before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to introduce someone who truly understands the heart of San Antonio. Our moderator for the evening, RJ Marquez. We are honored to have RJ with us as a familiar face on KSAT's Good Morning San Antonio. He's been telling our city's story since 2010. From fiesta celebrations and Spurs championships to breaking news and local sports, RJ isn't just an anchor, he's a part of the fabric of our community, and we're lucky to have him guiding us through tonight's program. So please, let's give him a warm Southside welcome, RJ Marquez.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for that, April, and again, thank you to everyone that's here in attendance. This is obviously goes without saying, this is going to be a historical mayoral race. More than 24 candidates have basically decided to run for the mayoral office. And when you think about it, we're looking at, for the first time in nearly a decade, the city of San Antonio is going to have a new city leader. So we are really excited to get an opportunity to hear from these candidates and also get to know a little bit of their viewpoints, their topics, and some things that we're going to touch on just a little bit later on. So again, the election will be held on May the 3rd. Another reminder, just to vote early and make sure that you get out there, because May the 3rd, of course, is Fiesta Flambeau night. So we want to make sure that we get, I know a lot of people are ready for Fiesta as well. We are at KSAT 12. By the way, we are live streaming this as well on ksat.com. So a couple of rules here, because we do want to be respectful of everyone's time that is here in attendance here at Palo Alto College. So we're going to give each candidate here opening statements that are going to last 2 minutes long, and then we're going to have 4 total questions to each candidate here in attendance, and those answers will be 1 minute long. So again, 2 minutes opening statement, 1 minute long responses to the 4 questions that have been chosen by the organizers of this mayoral forum. And then we will have if there are questions from some of our people here in attendance, we're going to have a quick Q&A, about 4 or 5 questions if possible, that will be directed to a certain candidate or kind of a group of candidates as well. So again, please be respectful of the times. We do have the timer up there in the front, the monitor that our candidates are able to see, and I believe that the mic will actually turn off on you guys if, hey, this is high-tech stuff we got here going on at Palo Alto, yes. So the mic will turn off, so make sure to get your points in and make it clear as possible for all of our people here in attendance. So I'm going to go ahead and take this seat. And again, appreciate being here with you guys, and it is my honor. And I'm just going to go through the list of candidates here in no particular order. We have Dr. Tim Wesley in attendance with us here. There you go. An education services specialist with the Department of Defense who ran for the GOP nomination for Texas Land Commissioner back in 2022. Mauricio Mau Sanchez, right here in kind of the middle to y'all's left a little bit. Economic-driven executive at a San Antonio-based financial management firm and a lifelong San Antonian. Christopher Herring, you could raise your hand, Mr. Herring. There you go. Thank you very much, sir. Executive Director of Global Chamber of San Antonio, serving on the city's Small Business Advisory Committee, and also a U.S. Air Force veteran. So we thank you for that. Mr. Clayton Perry is here as well, right there in the middle. Represented District 10 on the north side from 2017 to 2023, and he was also a civil engineer in the U.S. Air Force as well. Do we have Mr. Santos Alvarado here? There we go. Yes, sir. Thank you. A U.S. Army veteran who retired after 23 years of combined Army Reserves and U.S. Army active duty in 2011. How about Mr. Robert Melvin? I saw him earlier. There you go. All right. Mr. Melvin, of course, is the chair of the Economic Development Group for San Antonio for Growth on the East Side, or SAGE, as other people may know that, and he worked for former Texas Governor Rick Perry's office as a Small Business Development Director. Directly to my left here is District 8 Councilman, Mr. Manny Pelais. There you go. An attorney who has represented the far northwest side since 2017, also previously serving on the boards of Brook City Base and VIA. All right, Christopher Reyes, we have Mr. Reyes in attendance. Thank you, sir. And again, returning home to San Antonio in 2017 after serving abroad in the U.S. Army, currently working as a survey technician for an engineering company. Ms. Gina Ortiz-Jones, right here to my left. An Air Force veteran who served under the Secretary, or served as the Under Secretary of the Air Force for the Biden administration. She ran for Congress in the 23rd Congressional District in 2018 and in 2020. Also to my left here is District 4 Councilwoman Adriana Rocha Garcia. Okay. Dr. Rocha Garcia represented the Southwest Side since 2019, previously working for the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And then a little bit further down the list is Mr. Beto Altamirano right there, a tech executive who developed the 311 mobile app to help residents report issues in their neighborhoods, and now runs an AI company. He previously worked with the Texas Legislature, the U.S. Senate for the United States, and the Trade Representative's Office as well. And do we have Councilman John Courage here in attendance? I don't think we saw. Oh, 6:30. Okay, so Councilman Courage, not here with us yet, but we'll check in with Councilman Courage here in just a little bit. And I do see a couple of other folks that were here that were not on the original. So, okay, go ahead and give us one quick line about yourself.
Okay. So I'm a small business owner. I own a child care company here in San Antonio. Okay. Born and raised here, went to Holmes High School. So.
Okay, great. And I saw Mr. What was it, J.J. Melvin down there? Go ahead.
How's it going? Oh, can you hear me? Okay, cool. Hey, I'm Mike Sergent Sam. Hey, retired Air Force Master Sergeant. Been retired for a few years now, but it's time to get back into service, so that's why I'm here today. Thank you. Okay.
Is that it? Okay, I know we have...
Hi. That's. My name is Armando Dominguez. I'm here from San Antonio all my life, 41 years, and I want to give the Animal City back to the city of San Antonio, folks. Let's do this.
Okay.
I'm James J. Melvin. Vote J in May.
Okay.
United States Navy veteran. Been here in San Antonio for over 17 years. Been a public servant all my life. I'm also in construction, where I'm a liaison. I'm probably have worked on some of you houses or others, but thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get things started here. Again, we're going to start with each candidate getting a 2-minute opening statement, followed, of course, by that moderated Q&A. So let's go ahead and start here to my left. Councilman Pelais.
One of the great honors of my life has been serving as a city councilman for the Northside District, number 8. The biggest honor of my life, however, is getting my 2 children who are in the back, Max and Sophia, to see me do what I'm doing right now, which is put my name out there, put my chin out, and fighting for what I believe all of you want, which is what I want for them. For those of you that are parents, I think all of you will agree that our job as parents is to prepare our children for the path, right? But those of us who have access to the levers, and those of us that have resources, and those of us that know how, have an additional obligation, and that is to prepare the path for our children. I think that that's what this job is about. Running for mayor is to make sure that we deliver on some very basic things. And why I decided to run for mayor was because I'd been listening to the platforms of a lot of other candidates, and quite honestly, I wasn't inspired. And here's what I wanted in a mayor. I wanted a mayor to stand up and say, on my watch, we will become the safest city in America, the strongest city in America, the smartest, most authentic, and most compassionate city in America, to where we all together solve problems, but where the rest of the world admires us for solving the problems the San Antonio way, so that eventually our brand of compassion, our brand of decency is exported out and other people emulate what we do here. Instead, what I heard was, we're going to get incrementally better on my watch. I'm going to do a little bit better than the last guy. My kids deserve the safest, the strongest, the smartest city. And I think you guys deserve a mayor that wants exactly that. My name's Manny. I'm running to be your mayor.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to District 4. I'm Councilwoman Adriana Rocha Garcia from District 4, and I'm running now for mayor. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I was born on the west side of San Antonio in zip code 78207. That is one of the most impoverished areas of town, but it's also rich in culture. And I'm so grateful to be able to say that I still have family members that have so many roots there. But I moved over to the southwest side of town, and I've been here ever since. My parents were evicted from the home where I was brought home from the hospital to. We moved for a little bit to the east side. In the east side, there was a lot of crime, a lot of gang activity in the apartment complex where my dad could afford to put us. My mom and dad only went to first and second grade in elementary in Mexico. And so my dad was a construction worker. There wasn't a lot of work in San Antonio, so he had to drive back and forth to Houston. My cousins took pity on us. They took us in so that we could live there while my dad saved money to put a down payment on a house. That's why I'm running for mayor. I have the experience of a lot of the residents of San Antonio, the residents that need help. 3 things that I'm running on: housing, economic empowerment through education, and healthcare. We saw what happened during the pandemic. We don't want that to happen to our residents again. But we need the economic opportunity as well. That only happens through education. I am here because I'm a product of the services that you all voted on a long time ago. The San Antonio Education Partnership that Henry Cisneros brought, I'm a product of that. I'm a proud scholarship recipient. The San Antonio Pre-K for Essay that Julian Castro brought forth a few years ago, we need to continue to do that. That is how we will get that education and that economic empowerment. That's why I'm running to be your next mayor of San Antonio, and I look forward to getting your vote. But also I want to say thank you for being here on the South Side for this historic event.
Well, good evening. My name is Jade McCullough again, and I'm running to become mayor. So I started this race because of a situation that occurred, but before I get into that, let me introduce you to who I am. Not many people know me. There are 27 candidates, so it's a long list. So born and raised in San Antonio, I grew up on the west side. I went to Jordan Middle School, Holmes High School, graduated from Holmes early, and then attended DeVry University for marketing management, and then I went to AIU for accounting. Now, during my course of school, I was actually bullied for the color of my skin. And when you're bullied, you have to get that grit, determination to actually do something for yourself and speak for yourself. So as I got older, I began to model when I was 21, and then I gained a magazine cover of becoming Miss Winter. Once I did that, I was like, I can break any barriers out there. So then I opened a childcare business after the loss of my son. And then I get to love on kids and spoil them rotten and then give them back. So now I'm running for mayor because an apartment complex actually let me sit in sewage water in 2022. Trickled over to 2023, that business that I started, I lost all my clients. First ever childcare company to work with the Bridal Extravaganza, I lost all those clients. And I was like, what can I do? Who can I talk to? I called the city, poison control, I called everybody. Nobody could help, so I was like, let me become that person that actually speaks up for us. So I began this race, I found out what I needed, and I've been here, and I love it. So I'm running for mayor to fight for everybody because nobody should have to live in sewage water. Nobody should have to live in poverty. And there's some fun facts that I want to get out there to the world. So if you elect me as your mayor, I'll be fighting for you. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you to our hosts. Thank you all for joining us today. My name's Gina Ortiz-Jones. It's actually nice to be back on this campus. I took a summer course here about 20 years ago, a course in macroeconomics. And look at me now, y'all. I grew up on the far west side of San Antonio. Our family story really starts, though, when my mom came to this very special country. She graduated from the #1 university in the Philippines. She wanted a chance at the American dream. She came here as a domestic helper, and she knew even if I go to that country in that capacity, if I'm willing to work hard, the sky is the limit. So that is the cloth that I am cut from. She also reminded my sister and I, who she raised by herself, that we were lucky, not smart, we were lucky to have been born in this very special country, and we'd have to give back. It's why I was honored to serve in the Air Force in a number of ways. It's why my sister serves in the Navy to this day. I've been honored to serve our country in a number of ways. I most recently served as the Undersecretary of the Air Force, which is the #2 person over the Air Force and the Space Force. So I managed a $173 billion budget. I led 600,000 people, and I worked to make sure that we were investing and making the right investments for the long-term needs of our department of the Air Force, as well as making sure we were caring for our people. I think those are two fundamentally the same things that a mayor does. One, do my folks have what they need to be successful? And two, are we making smart investments? I think it's also really important that when you lead, you've got a plan. Even if we had a different president, different governor, we'd still have over half the kids in our community not reading at level, math skills not at level. We'd still have too many folks struggling with housing costs, and we'd still have way too many delayed construction projects in our community, just to name a few of the challenges, which is why on my website I put out, hey, these are the things we should work on in the first 100 days, right? We have the talent, we have the resources. I look forward to bringing the leadership to make sure we're moving our city forward. Thanks for joining today.
Good evening. My name is Mauricio Sanchez. Most just know me by Mal Sanchez. I'm a 35-year-old lifelong San Antonian. My parents moved here from Mexico when I was 3 weeks old. And every time I asked them the question of why they moved here, they always give me the response that I came here to give you and your brother a better life. So I grew up on the corner of Austin Highway and Broadway. So if you know that area, you know that it's a very busy area, close enough to the city where you get a lot of perspective. In that movement, flood 98 washed us out, and then I ended up graduating from Clark High School. I would end up studying at the University of the Incarnate Word, and I've studied economics and finance, graduated in 2012 from that university. I was in private wealth for the first 2 years out of college, and then I had an opportunity to go and work on Wall Street, which I did for a year. That experience taught me a lot about economies and how markets work. But more specifically, it gave me the ability to look at bigger cities and compare them to San Antonio. The reality is that we are the second largest city by population and landmass, but when it comes to economic productivity and wages, we're last. And that is the movement that inspired me to continue on to try to serve my community. I'm here because I want to make change. I want to change the trajectory of this city. Before this, I had no interest in politics, and I don't, but I've decided that 8 years out of my career, I'm going to switch my gear, and I'm going to focus on bettering my city. And in 8 years, my plan is to come back to the private sector in hopes that we are all able to be in an economy that is productive. Again, my name is Mal Sanchez. It's 1 minute, 2 minutes is very short time for me to actually go into detail on what I've discovered. But if you go to Mal for Mayor, or you look me up on Instagram at Mal for Mayor, malformayor.com or Mal for Mayor, you'll get a lot of information from there. I look forward to attending to you guys' questions tonight. Thanks for letting us.
Hey everyone, my name is Beto Altamirano, and I'm running for mayor because I believe in San Antonio. I believe in the power, the values, and the potential of every San Antonio, no matter where you're from, what part of the city. I'm a South Texas native, and I'm the son of immigrants. My father, an HVAC technician, and my mother, a school teacher. I learned the value of hard work through them. I went on to study government at UT Austin, got my master's in public administration from the Harvard Kennedy School. And I went to work at the Texas House of Representatives, the U.S. Senate, the White House. But I kept coming back to this idea. I want to go back to South Texas. So over a decade ago, I chose San Antonio to start my family, my business, and build community. And I did so. I started my family here in San Antonio. About 5 weeks ago, my wife and I, we welcomed our first child, Andre. And we're very excited about the opportunity, but we have also reflected on our why. I built the 311 San Antonio mobile platform with my company, Iris, that allows people to report issues that you see in your community. Potholes, vandalism, power outages, things that make our quality of life break or make it, right? But I also worked at the Alamo Area MPO and the Port San Antonio Board. And last year, when I announced my candidacy for mayor, I spent about 4 or 5 months visiting every corner of the city, learning about the issues people are experiencing. Childcare, after-school care, good paying jobs, crime. All of those issues we translated into a platform that we call Plan 2.0, focusing on infrastructure, economic opportunity, and public safety. My vision for San Antonio is taking care of those immediate needs, but it's also building a future grounded on economic opportunity, inclusion, and innovation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invite. My name is Santos Alvarado. I was born here in San Antonio on the west side. I left here in 1975 at the age of 17 as a soldier to serve my country. I returned back in 2 years ago as a combat veteran. Between those times, I was going back and forth to San Antonio and seeing how changes had happened while I was gone, because the Army kept me busy going to places. Upon my return home, okay, I saw what happened to San Antonio. They did get bigger, okay? It wasn't that big when I left there. There wasn't nothing past 410. Now there is. When I returned back, I asked my friends that I grew up with from grade school and my neighbors and strangers I saw on the streets. They told me that so many promises have been made in this city have never been kept, okay? All these deals that were done behind closed doors, and y'all voted, y'all didn't know what you voted for. So I'm running for mayor because my friends told me that there's no leadership in the city of San Antonio. I'm bringing leadership into the city because I'd spent 23 years in the Army as a leader and mentoring, and 25 years working for Department of Defense, mentoring. I want to bring leadership, and I want to make sure that in the city itself, city council, that we work as a team, because there's no I in team. All I ever heard since I started this is I did this, and I did that, and I did this. There's no I in team. The city belongs to you, okay? It doesn't belong to the city. You are the voters. You should be part of the decision making that's being made around here. This is the only way we're going to get back the city back together again. Because before we start doing anything new, we're going to finish what hasn't been finished yet. And there's a lot that has to be finished. Trust me, I've seen neighborhoods that I grew up with. They weren't that good when I left there, and I came back 50 years later, and they're the same. So something's wrong here with the system. We need to fix the system first. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Can I get going?
Okay, I'm going to stay a little bit further away. Howdy, I'm Clayton Perry, and I'm running for mayor. I'm running for mayor because I love this city, and I want to continue to serve. Let me give you some of my background. I was born and raised right here in Texas. Went to Texas A&M, member of the Aggie band. You got any Aggies out there? No? Okay, well, all right, there you go. Then went into the Air Force and spent 21 years and retired as a lieutenant colonel in the civil engineer career field. Went from there and went into a large engineering construction firm for another 13 years, and I was a vice president in that company. Got a little bit of a break, and then I ran for city council. But let me tell you how I got to that point. I got here in San Antonio in 1991. The Air Force brought me here. I got involved in my HOA. I started on my board, got elected to that, and then I was elected the president, and then I got elected to the Northeast Neighborhood Alliance, which is a group of 90 different housing associations. Got on that board and served as secretary and treasurer. And my predecessor said, Clayton, you check all the boxes. You've been engaged in this city. You've been engaged in our district. Why don't you run for District 10? And I did, and I won in 17, 19, and 21. But let me tell you, I love this city. I want to continue to give back. I was on numerous boards and commissions here in San Antonio, so I know this city. I know the bureaucracy. I know how to get things done. I got your first homestead exemption ever here in San Antonio. I got 200 additional police officers while I was on council. And I doubled the infrastructure program, fixing our streets, sidewalks, and parks. Is that enough? Absolutely not. And that's what I'm running on, the basics, giving you a return on your investment on what you want. So vote Clayton Perry, perryformayor.com. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
How is everybody doing? No, sir. How is everybody doing? My name is Robert Melvin. I'm not a politician. I'm a husband of 20 plus years, the father of a 16-year-old beautiful daughter, and the father of a 14-year-old son. I came back to the state of Texas to work for Governor Perry as his small business advocate. It was in that capacity that I worked with businesses from all over the state of Texas, helping them with their growth and their development strategies, both domestically and internationally. And it was only a matter of time before I got bit by that entrepreneurial bug, and I thought that I could do what I had seen so many others do. So with the permission of my lovely wife, we launched our company in 2010. It's been a hell of a ride. We were recently finished with our developments at Park Avenue at the Pearl and Legacy Lofts on St. Mary's. And in that project is where I began to understand and learn what San Antonio was. How many of us in this room are small businesses? Raise your hand. You're not gonna raise your hand? There you go. So when we look at the economic impact that small businesses have on our economy, it's critical for us to realize that it is the largest employer. It is the driving force behind everything that we do as a city of San Antonio. A lot of times we get caught up in the size of business when we think of recruiting without thinking about the mom and pop shop that we support daily and the number of individuals that they employ and the families that live as a result of that business taking the risk that it has. So my platform is simple. It's growing young entrepreneurs like the young ladies that I had the pleasure of meeting earlier. It's continuing to grow our city's economy based on the one true foundation that we know, and that's small business.
Hi, I'm Christopher Herring. I hope to be your next mayor. I came to San Antonio in 2006 after being in the military and really getting a passion for serving my country. I believe in the cardinal principle of servant leadership. I had the opportunity to work for Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, and President Clinton. For President Clinton, I was the White House chair for the Department of Defense, One America. I had the opportunity to be recognized for my leadership. I had received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the United States Junior Achievement, or JCs, as a 10 Outstanding Young American. The other person from San Antonio that received that award was Henry Cisneros. When I came to San Antonio, I loved Military City, USA, but I'm an analytical person. I started to see that we had gaps. So as mayor, what I'm going to propose to you is something you've never heard of, which is to declare that we're going to end poverty. Generational poverty that has impacted 10 zip codes that really have the worst situation that you all know about. I believe that we have to have mobile health units that go into these 10 zip codes. I believe that we need to figure out how to increase the average income for these households that are like $23,000 a year. Who can live on that? We need to figure out how to fix the most worst zip codes of San Antonio. Why? Because we're not attractive to Fortune 1000 companies. We're not attractive to Fortune 500 companies. And San Antonio keeps pretending to invest in the downtown, but we have to invest in the east side and the west side and the south side. So I'm going to be your mayor that wants to end poverty in San Antonio. I'm not a politician, but I have helped to bring $1 billion of income and revenues to small businesses in San Antonio as I served on the City of San Antonio Small Business Advocacy. Thank you so much. I'm Christopher Herring.
Good evening. Thank you for coming out here, and thank you for my family coming out here to support me. My name is Christopher Reyes. I'm a 15-year Army veteran. I spent 6 years in field artillery and 9 years as an imagery analyst or intel analyst. I served 2 tours in Afghanistan and 1 in Iraq. I'm running for mayor for you, for the city of San Antonio. I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't placate to anybody. I'm not beholden to anybody. We have a problem here in San Antonio. It's one of 2 things. It's either corruption or malfeasance. If you look around, we're in poverty. Our city's in chaos with crime everywhere. There's no transparency in our government whatsoever. There just came out on the news today saying that crime is low in San Antonio. I mean, is it low? You live here. You know what it is. So all they want to do is cover things up one way or another. My issue is, you have people that are running in this race that have already been here this whole time. And where was our city 8, 10 years ago, and where is it today? Has it gotten better or worse? That's what you need to look at when you look at all these candidates. Are they really here for you, or are they here for a stepping stone in a political career? Are they here to further business? Are they here for something else? I have no qualms whatsoever with anybody up here, but I'm tired of the bold-faced basic lies. You're putting makeup on stuff and covering it up and saying our city is great. You know, taking trips out on the city's dime for looking at public transportation. I mean, we have Google. There's the internet. Look it up. There's a bunch of things that are being misused and mismanaged here, and it needs to stop. So if I get in there, my first thing is to get a third-party audit, not the auditors that they're using that they keep passing with flying colors. Someone from outside to look at what's really happening here. That's what we need. Once we get transparency, everything else will follow because you'll know what's happening.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Sergeant Sam here. Mike Samaniego, good to meet you. Thank you for letting me speak this time. I'm a retired Air Force Master Sergeant, retired after 23 years. Been deployed 14 times. I've been in every conflict that we've had since Desert Storm to Afghanistan. And I don't say that to try to show off. I'm not a special forces guy. I'm not anything special, period, really. But just to tell you that what I'm really interested in doing, I'm interested in our people, not just San Antonio. Every city is important to me in this country. Every state in this country is Texas. So everything matters to me. But we're here, and I realize, or I'm dumbfounded about how easily we forget that just a couple years ago we had riots happening across the country. Just a couple months ago, we had trafficking happening at the migrant center. They were trafficking women and children at the migrant center just a few short months ago. How easily we forget this stuff. I don't think the way forward is moving forward, actually. I think the way forward is to revisit the past. Look at the policies. Look at the rules that they've been coming out with, the bonds they've been pushing out to move people out of their homes, to construct more 15-minute communities is what we're going to. If you look around you, what do you see coming up? People are getting kicked out of their homes because of high taxes, and apartment buildings coming up, and VIA trying to take over. This is a 15-minute community that they're going after, and that's what I aim to stop. That's my goal in this thing. And I'm here for 2 reasons, and 2 reasons only. I'm here for God and by God. Thank you.
Hi, folks. My name is Armando Dominguez. I grew up in the South Side here in the Alamo City. All my life, I've been a San Antonio native, never moved the area. I'm so excited here to run for the Alamo City twice. I'm your future mayor, I say, because our city needs to grow community-wise. If you look at our skyline, I had a conversation with Mr. Newberg, and we talked for a little bit, and I told him our skyline's pretty small, man. We got overseen about over 150 companies. Simple fact is because there's no annual income in our city, from the east to the west to the south. We need to put more annual income in our community, folks. We look, I remember back in the day, Mr. Cisneros referred to the West Side and mentioned a couple things about fixing the West Side. You know, Ready to Work is a new established program that I talked to Mr. Newberg about let's add more funding to projects that make sense, reallocate funding. Let's fix situations in the city that emphasize on the community now. If we look at Austin, they went more of the business perspective in the Alamo City, folks, and that's a big problem because we don't want to leave our history and culture here in the city of San Antonio, right? So we develop in that portion part. So what we want to do is create a city that's going to grow together. So putting more annual income in our community pocket is our way. There's people that go home, can't put meals on their table because of that. We're 18% at 0.5 in poverty in San Antonio. Nationwide, 14.5%, and is more less under than poverty. So creating the second Riverwalk project, what we emphasize is using our history and our culture to help develop better programs. We split the money amongst our council and our peers that help develop programs that make sense, that helps alleviate homelessness, fix problems that fix the community, and not look like Austin where it's just pretty much in dire need because they decided to venture off from their history and culture. My name is Armando Dominguez, and I want to be your future mayor here in the Alamo City. Thank you, folks.
My name is James J. Melvin. I'm 17th on the ballot. 17 is a spiritual number for victory. So I was in the United States Navy in California. I was on the USS Tarawa. But I don't want y'all to forget to vote J in May. So I was on the USS Tarawa. It was an amphibious warfare ship. And at the same time, I was attending classes at Chapman University. During that time, my young brother got hit by a car, and he was found unconscious. So at the end of my tour, I went back to Georgia to take care of him. While I was there, I began working at an aviation plant. At the aviation plant, it took me 6 months, and the VP of the plant called me in his office and gave me a promotion. And that got the attention of the 1,200 employees that was there. So they came and asked me to join their union. I joined their union. And then 2 months later, they came and asked me to run for union president. So long story short, I became the youngest union president in the United States. And so that gave me the opportunity to go to Washington, D.C. every 3 months, where I lobbied for workers' rights, lobbied for veterans, for health care, for police officers, for firefighters, for teachers, for nurses, everyone who serves the public, just as a mayor or a governor, just as a congressman or as a senator. I think those people deserve to have the same or equal benefits as well. My name is James J. Melvin, and I'll be your next mayor of San Antonio. Vote J in May.
Hello, everyone. Dr. Tim Wesley. I'm excited to be here. I will let you all know in 1995, I was stationed in Fort Stewart, Georgia. My family and I, we were looking to relocate. We were considering whether I was going to stay in the Army or not. We said, well, if we can get to a location that we can call home, I would go ahead and extend looking at either officer candidate school or just doing the time in that city if we decide to stay. We came to San Antonio, to Fort Sam Houston. We looked at the city and we said, you know what? This is a great place to call home. So we decided to make this home. At that point, I was working on an undergrad degree. Likewise was my wife. We prospered in the city. I finished up a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD. I've been able to have change take place. Every location I've been a change agent and a problem solver. From USAA to the college classroom, university classroom, to the Department of Defense now. So why am I running for mayor? Because I care. Ultimately, we have people in this city right now, including our seniors, that can't afford to stay in their homes. It's time for a change. It's time for a change. We have students now that are going to school, but unfortunately, they have to relocate just to find a job. I care about the future of San Antonio, not just the north side, but the south side, the east side, and the west side. It's time for a change. It's time for a mayor that's going to be a brand ambassador, that's going to show the city of San Antonio, the state of Texas, and the nation that we're not just a city that's known as a historical city for the Alamo, but we're a city to be reckoned with. San Antonio will be a city that will prosper, a city that will attract people, and I'll be the brand ambassador that will go out there to make sure that we grow economically and so much more. Once again, my name is Dr. Tim Wesley. I'm number 7 on your ballot, but number 1 hopefully in your heart when tonight is over with.
Okay, and joining us now is Councilman John Courage. He is an Air Force veteran who has represented District 9 since 2017, previously running as a Democrat and also holding a seat on the Alamo College's board. Go ahead, Mr. Courage. You have 2 minutes, opening statement.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's my pleasure to be here. You heard that I served on the Alamo Community College District Board. I was on that board many years ago. And at the time I was on the board, there were board members who wanted to build a college, and they wanted to build it on the north side of San Antonio. And I and the other college board members at that time, George Ozuna, Delia Costa, and others, said no. We need to build a college on the south side of San Antonio, and that is Palo Alto College here today. I've lived in San Antonio over 50 years. I came through the military, I went through basic training, I became a military dog handler. I married a local gal, went to the USO dance on a Saturday night, met a local lady. We ended up getting married. We had children together. I've raised my family here for 50 years. I've seen this city grow. You've heard a lot of people talk about things they have done or things that they think they want to do. And what they've done is they've done it somewhere else. They haven't done it here in San Antonio. Or what they want to do is something they think they can do in San Antonio. Let me tell you what I have done as a council member for the last 8 years. I went and put together a program in my district that allowed the people in our district to decide how to spend their tax dollars. Millions of dollars were voted on by the people in my district on what projects they wanted to have done. I initiated a program that is going to put safe baby devices in fire stations all around the city so that no one will abandon a baby again in a dumpster in this city. I was the only council member who wanted to go ahead and protect this city by getting guns off the streets. And I have sponsored 2 weapons exchange programs that have taken 1,500 guns off the streets here in San Antonio. And today, I announced a program in conjunction with an organization, nationwide organization, that is going to relieve 45,000 families of $60 million of medical debt that they owe.
Okay, well, thank you very much to the candidates for their opening statements. Another reminder, we are live streaming this on ksat.com on our digital platform. So if you guys want to go back and see some of these opening statements, we're going to have that posted on our website as early as tomorrow morning. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the moderated questions for all of our candidates. And we're going to start with Mr. Pelaez here, Councilman Pelaez here first. And we're going to go on the topic of senior citizens. And the question here, again, this coming from our organizers here of this mayoral forum, is what initiatives will you implement to improve the quality of life for senior citizens in our city, particularly in areas like affordable housing, transportation, and access to essential services?
Beto, congratulations on the baby. I'm very, very excited for you. I'm jealous, actually. Right now, I should be, but right now I'm going through, you're going through the beginning of life phase. I'm going through an end of life moment right now. My dad is experiencing dementia, and we're all planning for what happens next, right? Way too many San Antonians do not have the resources, the education, or even the access to be able to pull down from what the city offers in terms of senior centers, nutrition care, and housing. This has been one of the essential jobs that I have done on the north side to make sure that nobody on the north side who is an elderly San Antonio goes hungry, dies by themselves, dies of loneliness, and is abused or defrauded. This is the work of my life, is taking care of seniors, and because they're worth it.
And a quick reminder, these are pretty rapid fire questions, so we're looking at about a minute long here for each response. Go ahead, Dr. Rocha.
One of the things that I would love to focus on is in the next housing bond to make sure that we have money dedicated for owner-occupied rehab. Similar to Councilman Pelaez, right now I am with my parents. My dad has Alzheimer's and my mom just broke her hip last month. So similar to Beto, I was running on about 2 hours of sleep, but because I was taking care of my mom. And I saw firsthand the need of our residents because my parents, we can't afford to have them at any type of facility. It's $5,500 a month. Who can afford $5,500 a month? Probably most of us in this room can't, and not for our parents either, unfortunately. So one of the things that I'd like to focus on is in this next bond, like I said, owner-occupied rehab. How do we increase the ability for our seniors to be able to have someone build a ramp for them, to be able to upskill, I call it upskilling their own homes, so that they can have the grab bars, so that they can have the toilets that are a little bit higher. That's the type of thing that we need to be focusing on this next go-around.
So I was actually the supervisor of a home health care team, and we would go to people's homes and actually help anybody that didn't have family, that didn't have friends, that didn't have anybody to take care of them. And we have the resources, but nobody knows about them. I want to project our marketing so we can reach those who need the help. We have all these wonderful projects and programs here in San Antonio, but nobody knows about them. So until we actually get people out there to advocate for what we have in the city, we have the funds, we have the resources, so we need to let those people know, hey, we have your back out here when it comes to our elderly. When it comes to transportation, I think the VIA is doing a good job when they're picking people up from their homes. We could do better with VIA, but it's sitting down and holding a meeting and making sure that we advocate for, our elderly. So my thing is holding people accountable, making sure that we actually hold people accountable. Thank you.
When I think about our seniors, I think we need to be thinking about them in all ways. We've got an excellent opportunity, for example, with our public transit system. We've got the Green Line. When we're thinking about that, though, the Green Line is going to stop at Steve's. When we think about our seniors, we can also think about connecting parts of our community where we know there's going to be a lot of growth. So making sure that the Green Line goes from all the way down to Brooks, and the ability and the mobility that we can also afford our seniors as part of that. I've also seen firsthand the inequity in how we serve our seniors. All you have to do is look at the calendars for each of the senior centers in our community. The District 9 calendar is packed, right? District 4 calendar is not. I went to go visit and sit down with some of the seniors at the District 9 Senior Center, the Walker Ranch one, and it's great, and it's a wonderful resource. We've got to protect those things, which is why it's also really important that we have a mayor, and I look forward to doing this given my background at the national level, in making sure that folks understand the consequences when people are messing around with people's Social Security and their retirement and cuts to the VA, that we stand up for our seniors in that way, and I look forward to doing that.
Truth is, I envy those who transplant to San Antonio, because if you're like myself, you had parents that lived paycheck to paycheck and didn't have the discretionary income to save for retirement. That's the real issue that exists in San Antonio, and it's existed for well longer than I've been alive. Again, we have an economic issue here. Now, what causes that? Lack of economic diversification, rising costs in which seniors are ultimately met to only live on Social Security, and if you were lucky enough, then perhaps you had the discretionary income to raise money within your 401k or IRA. That's a real issue that we're dealing with, and it's our job as city leaders to fill that gap in, because if you're a senior, you can no longer go into the workforce the way that you used to be able to. The productivity factor is no longer there. It's our job as city leaders to fill those gaps in and find ways. I'll tell you now, our budget is exhausted with things that do not return an investment. That's where we'll cut, and we'll reallocate to seniors.
When I think about the senior community, I think about how our zip code should not determine how long we live. Our zip code should not determine how healthy we are as a community here in San Antonio. According to the Safe Clinic, hospitals are closing down in South Side of San Antonio. There's 0.34 hospital beds for every 1,000 residents compared to the North Side which is 2.94 hospital beds for every 1,000 residents. We can do better. I want to invest in acute care hospitals, mobile health units. I also want more access to green spaces so that our senior community can walk, can bike, can exercise. Access to healthy foods is extremely important in the South Side as well. And finally, specialized clinic. Yo quiero cuidar a la gente de la tercera edad. Tenemos que darle prioridad a su salud. Gracias.
Okay, thank you. I think there's only on the panel here, I think there's only 3 of us that can call ourselves senior citizens. Okay, so, okay, so we know, I know what you're talking about, and I think they know also, okay? The senior citizen facilities, okay, I know they're there, okay, because I know they built a new one in my neighborhood. I go there for a free lunch, okay? But I understand what you're talking about when it comes for affordable housing, okay? Affordable housing, I know it's hard because most of us collect Social Security. Other ones have their 401 savings plans. This is how we survive. Once that goes away, you have no more money. Trust me, I've been there, done that, okay? So now we have to find out how we're going to take care of senior citizens. With transportation, it's available there. But we need to work on a solution for this because seniors, us being seniors, we're not getting younger no more. So we need to find somehow to take care of each other. Thank you.
Well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to continue to support the food bank. We're going to continue to support Meals on Wheels. And we're going to build more senior centers around San Antonio. We really need those. And those are great support centers, not only for the communication with each other every day on keeping conversations going, but for the food as well. But let me carry on what else I'm going to do. You know, I started the homestead exemption here in San Antonio, but what I'm going to do next, I am going to cap the appraisals. You know, every year your appraisal keeps going up, right? Well, we're going to cap them at 65 years old so that they don't keep going up and forcing people out of their homes. That is what I'm going to work on, and that will keep people in their homes here in San Antonio. Thank you.
So I think what's important for us to address is why our aging are not able to age in their homes. And the reason is because of the growing and the growth that's happening within the city. So if you look South Side, you look near East Side, West Side, what you see is the growth of San Antonio taking place, and it's causing the value of the land around it to go through the roof, which prevents our seniors from benefiting from the one asset that is supposed to be able to be used for the rest of their lives if they did everything correctly, right? So I think it begins with a tax freeze. It's understanding where our elderly are, because majority of them are either near homeless or 2 paychecks away from homeless. So it's about understanding where we stand currently, address the tax issue, and then providing resources that allow for them to benefit from that one asset, which is real estate.
Again, my name is Christopher Herring, running for mayor. So as a senior, because I'm a young senior, 55, and I get the magazines in the mail, I know that one thing that's very important is that we have to establish a mayor's council for aging. When I opened up and talked about the health disparities, especially on the South Side where you actually have almost a 20-year difference in life expectancy than that on the North Side. So as those elected officials have talked, they knew that this was a problem because this is a city study. And the alarming part is that nothing has been done. We've become too complacent with an emergency. So I would actually declare a state of an emergency for women in particular because of these disparities. Now for the aging, the seniors, we need you because our business community needs you. Organizations like SCORE, where you can actually put and give your business expertise to this failing economy, we need you. Thank you.
So it all comes down, again, to transparency. We have programs, as it was stated before. We're going to look at those programs and figure out why are they not working. Is there a metric that they're being push against to see if we're doing well, and if not, why. Then we have to go and be involved in our community with the elderly and find out what their needs actually are and if these programs match up. And if they don't, then we need to change them. We need to adjust them. We need to look in and say, if these programs were not utilized, where is that money that was there? Where is it being rolled over? How is it being utilized? We need to go out there and ensure, before we start building anything, that we make our communities safe. That's probably why we have hospitals closing down and businesses closing down, because there's a ton of homelessness and a ton of crime. And until you clean that up, nobody's going to want to put anything there. Just like when Haven for Hope got built, and all that side of town just started driving down from 2022 to currently. If you look at pictures from then, the houses were up to date, and now they're falling apart.
Yeah. I remember a few years ago, I had to take care of my mom. I got a job. As soon as I retired, I got a job overseas, and I had to quit early to come take care of my mom, so I took care of her for about 2 years before she passed away. But the first thing they did, as soon as she passed away, they said, all right, we're coming after your mom's house. You know, so if we can do something for that, help stop that, on top of freezing their taxes, maybe how about we just get rid of their taxes? All right, they've been paying long enough, you know, and we have things coming out like bonds. We have bonds coming out for, you know, Alamo colleges. We have another $1 billion bond coming out, right? We have that new stadium that they want to push out. That's going to be another $1 billion plus, you know. And if you're not an elder now, you're working your way out there. So we need to keep track of that too. So if we want to do something for the elderly, that's what we need to work on. We need to work on keeping these taxes down. That way, when they get to that point, they can take care of themselves and don't have to worry about being taken care of.
Can you repeat the question again?
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say if anyone needs me to do that. So the question is about senior citizens. What initiatives will you implement to improve the quality of life for senior citizens in our city, particularly in areas like affordable housing, transportation, and access to essential services?
All right, guys. Our vision here and our foundation, as me as running for mayor, is our community first. My mom, which I call my jefa, she goes, mijo, they just stopped giving food at the Senior Salvation Army, and they're closing programs because Donald Trump y que eso y eso. I said, Mom, what do you want me to do? Right? So I told her, I said, well, you know what? I think, running for mayor is a good idea, because reallocating funding to programs that make sense. Senior programs will be one of our priorities. We want our seniors to be well and live well and have a prosperity lives. They're our familia, right? So creating programs that do pre-exist needs to be reevaluated. And so we can't rely on the government for programs like that, for food. And Meals on Wheels is a good choice, but I think the food bank can offer better options. Creating a food truck system for our community that would help alleviate problems like hot meals. We utilize the food bank and we transport these meals through these hot food truck system. And that's a program that I want to irradiate and create for our city that pre-exists. We be strategic about things that we do have pre-existing already in our community.
Time up. Yes. Thank you, sir.
I'm James J. Melvin, your next mayor, 17th on the ballot. Vote J in May. So I've had the luxury to spend 3 years at Brookdale Assisted Living doing volunteer work. And I've heard the stories, I've heard their hearts, and I created an initiative, and it's called Homeless and Hunger No Longer Initiative. And so basically what I've done is getting HEB, Sprouts, the food bank, Meals on Wheels all together so we can take care of those who took care of us. Because people forget about you when you get old. But I can guarantee you when I'm mayor, we will not forget about you, because I actually put in the work. I don't go to pander votes. I actually was taught the right way growing up, that you take care of those who take care of you. So we will not forget about you. We love you. Vote J in May.
Once again, Dr. Tim Wesley, we're at a point in time where too many seniors have been taxed out of their homes. Simply said, they've been taxed out. So we definitely want to look at freezing tax rates, but we can only do that from one perspective, from a city perspective. However, there are other entities that are taxing our seniors. It's time for a brand ambassador that's bold enough to think outside of the box, to speak with those other entities such as independent school districts, et cetera, to talk to them as well about freezing them. When you turn 65 and you're getting Social Security, whatever you're getting, those rates should be frozen. Yes, thank you. Thank you. In addition to that, we have to make sure that we have someone to speak for our seniors. I had a senior that would have been 102 now. I was a friend of his, and I made sure when he went into the nursing home that his property wasn't lost, that it wasn't taken, but it was able to be passed down to the next generation. That's how we create generational wealth, and Dr. Tim Wesley will be protecting it as the next mayor.
Again, I'm Councilman John Courage. I've been serving for 8 years. I'm not going to get up here and frighten you with things that people are saying are wrong with the city. There's always things wrong with the city, but there's a lot more that's right with the city. I want to tell you what I've done as a council member. I headed up the development of the best senior center in this city, the District 9 Senior Center on Walker Ranch Park. There are over 7,000 people who've gone into that senior center. Also, I have gone out and served meals to people through Meals on Wheels. There are too many seniors who are relying on food to be delivered to their home. We need to continue doing that. I served on the San Antonio Housing Trust, and the Housing Trust has been working to build more affordable housing for seniors in this city. I think that we do need to make sure we keep seniors' taxes down, but we also need to lower other costs that they have. We need to make sure they can afford their water. We need to make sure they afford their electricity. We need to make sure they can afford their insurance on their home. Those are the things that I will continue to fight for as mayor of San Antonio. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to the candidates for those responses. Moving on to the second topic here, and the topic will be education. Of course, we are here at Palo Alto College, which continues to grow by leaps and bounds. I'm amazed by everything going on here. But the question is, how do you plan to support local schools and educators, and what steps will you take to ensure that all students, regardless of neighborhood, have access to high-quality education?
Me? Okay.
Yes, let's start here. Let's go.
Hey, guys. In 2003, I was the very first person that was ever hired by Toyota Motor Manufacturing. And what we decided at Toyota was that for those first 2,000 jobs, we wouldn't take the applications at Toyota. We would take the applications here at Palo Alto. And that Palo Alto would do the screening. And that Palo Alto would do the training. Because of Palo Alto, there is a Toyota. Conversely, without a Palo Alto, there would not be a Toyota. And there wouldn't be now 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 jobs there. I think that the next major investment the city is going to be making needs to think about education first. That's why I've proposed that Project Marvel, that big, huge development that we're talking about downtown, that I as mayor will not support it unless a very significant chunk of the revenue from that stadium deal and from those hotels and that convention center go to local schools, child care, and literacy programs.
One of the first things that I'd like to do as your mayor is bring education back to City Hall. There hasn't been a true education committee at the city since Julian Castro was mayor. It was education and workforce shortly after, and now it's morphed into workforce and economic development. But I believe that the only way that you change, that you make change as a community, and that you empower others is by changing their trajectory through education. Education gives you that economic empowerment. Education gives you the ability to learn, to get a better job, and then to provide for your family, to not have to work 2 or 3 jobs, to not have to worry about whether your children have a place to live, to not have to worry about whether they're insured, whether if something happens to you, you're going to be priced out of your home by the next month, because if you have to pay for a really expensive car bill, that you won't be able to afford the rent for the next month. That's why it's important to make sure that we focus in on education as a critical component of our city's forward.
The guys make it look so easy just walking back and forth. But so as a child care advocate for over 22 years, one thing that, I did was make sure that parents got to school. I cut my costs so I can make sure that they get the care that they deserve and that they need. So one thing that I do want to present is a child care fund that students, because I believe it raised from 44% to over 58% of students have children. And that's a lot. That is big. So I want to advocate for those parents and get them the child care that they need. Maybe offer it in school, maybe not, but there's a plan that needs to be had, and I want to have that plan. So I'm Jade McCullough, and I'm running for mayor. Thank you.
Public education is so critical to our democracy and our economy. I'm a proud product of all Title I schools. Adams Hill Elementary School, Pease Middle School, John Jay High School. It was an Air Force ROTC scholarship that took me from John Jay to Boston University. So I know how important it is that these investments are, which is why in the first 100 days, I want to understand, hey, how many kids and how much talent are we leaving on the table in our community as a result of not fully funding, fully meeting the need of pre-K for SA in our program? And then what's the bill? Right? Because I would argue that's a bill we cannot afford to not pay in our community given the significant inequities. We can't tell Harlandale ISD what to do. We can't tell Northside ISD what to do, but we as a community can commit to giving them the best possible product and setting our community up for the best path of economic strength long term, and that's always going to be smart, healthy kids.
RG, can I have you repeat the question?
Absolutely, yes. Again, focusing on education, how do you plan to support local schools and educators, and what steps will you take to ensure that all students, regardless of neighborhood, have access to high-quality education?
Thank you. So it's pretty funny. Coincidentally, I actually released a video on this morning. It's on Facebook and Instagram. But really, what's going on here, right? When our graduates graduate from their school, whatever degree they got, the reality is it's hard for them to find a job here. And so they end up leaving. And that's the very real reality of San Antonio at the current time. And that is the causation of the private sector not creating enough conversation with the education system to instill a curriculum that is going to change that. My proposal is that we need to have these roundtables. As mayor, your position is to be a visionary and a leader for future generations. And the only way that we fix that is through creating these roundtables. Second pole to that is that you have to have professors in these classrooms that actually care about the students' future. They're mentors in addition to being professors or teachers. We need to make sure we're vetting our teachers and professors that they are in that capacity.
San Antonio is growing rapidly. In the next 15 years, you're looking at 4 million people. The question is not whether we're going to grow, it's how do we prepare for that growth? Education should always be a North Star. It should be a priority, but we also need to create the conditions and the safety nets. I want to invest in childcare, expand pre-K for SA and childcare within pre-K for SA. Train more childcare professionals. That includes the senior members in our community. After school care, we need to get kids off the streets. We need to support them with STEM education and sports. We got to bring the trades back to high school. My dad is an HVAC technician. He never became a millionaire, but he always had a job, I promise you that. And we need to train our youth with electrical work, HVAC work, plumbing. And also, we got to look at the emerging trends in our economy, cybersecurity, advanced manufacturing, and partner with Alamo colleges and ISDs to make this happen throughout our city. We have to retain our talent, and we have to invest in our youth. Thank you.
Real quick, last month I was at a forum, okay? And one of the students came up to me and asked me a question because their parents didn't want to because they think that I wasn't giving the answer. They told me that their school district did not get no funding from the city for them for their education, okay? Now, that's wrong. All schools should be should be treated equal. There's no special school. Everybody should be treated the same when it comes to funding, okay? We need to make sure that we keep these students in school. Okay, I dropped out of high school. Look at me now. Okay, I educated myself. But we need to make sure that we have tutors, mentors, and teachers get trained to be better teachers. And it's your mayor, cross my fingers, okay? My door will always be open for anybody, student, anybody that wants to be mentored. I will be there for them because I've been there, okay? So I know what it's like, okay? I've never been to college, but I learned the hard way. Thank you.
Are we good?
Battery's dead, just on my time. All right. Folks, we cannot support schools financially. They're their own taxing entity. They have their own school boards. They have their superintendents that run those school districts. We can't add to that in any kind of way. But what we can do, we can work with those superintendents and find out what the city can do better. And let me tell you what we can do better. All those roads and sidewalks and no lighting around these schools, it's horrible. South Side, East Side, West Side, it's terrible. And that's the city's responsibility. And dadgummit, we're going to do that. We're going to fix around those schools to make it appealing to the students to even go to school there. So that's what we're going to do. Thank you.
We're going to start off with some stats. 18% of our population lives at or below poverty. 30% of our kids by the third grade are not reading at the national average. We're 40% below average. They determine the success of a child based on their performance in the third and fourth grade. Those are precursors to what can be expected in the future. And if I told you that they count the number of prison beds that will be needed based on that data sheet, you'd be surprised. So in order for us to grow a city, we have to have the human capital, which is our babies, to be able to grow and be competitive enough to be able to help grow this city. And what that requires is for us to invest in after-school programs that directly associate and directly address the issues that are causing these systemic issues. When you look at early pre-K for SA, it's an amazing program. But what happens to the parents at home that did not receive that same level of care or attention?
As your mayor, I can be the example of what coming from a poverty community looks like. I came from a poverty community. I went to Boston University and received my degree as well. I have 2 master's degrees, and I also owned a school for 10 years, a preschool that supported hundreds of children that went into the elementary schools. As I see it, the parents have to be just as committed as the government. And so I would propose that we expand and increase the types of programs like Parents Academy, where we teach parents how to truly be good first teachers to their children. Secondly, we just came from a KIPP Academy right there on Cameron, and they have no PTA. So charter schools are now being stood up, then there's no parent-teacher associations. That's a foul. We have to be leaders that can tell these folks how our children are to be educated, and that's a fact. Thank you so much.
So it's like Mr. Perry was saying, we can't directly fund schools or things of that matter. We can take care of the infrastructure around the schools, but we could also create programs that link entrepreneurs with kids coming out of high school as mentors. We can have something of that nature. We can create programs of that nature. We can pressure school boards, and we can pressure these educational facilities to look at themselves first and foremost. We have too many schools shutting down on the south side, on the east side, on the west side. They're just constantly shutting down. It's a lack of teachers, a lack of funds. I mean, the superintendent is sitting pretty high, and yet SAISD doesn't have air conditioners. So if we start pressuring these institutions, someone's going to start looking at them, and then we'll start getting answers, and then hopefully start fixing the problems.
Yeah, Chris isn't lying about the superintendents, huh? They make some jack, don't they? But I heard 2 interesting things here. One of them said we need to invest in our children, and the other one said quality education. But do we realize that in our school systems, they have pornography in there for children, kids, in our elementary schools? That's ridiculous. They have books out there in their library showing this kind of stuff in there. That's crazy. Has everyone read this shirt yet? That's why I'm running for mayor. Our kids are important. They are our future, and if we intend to move forward, we need to invest in them. Just like Beto said. We need to invest in them, and we need to get rid of that smut inside those schools. So if we're talking about quality education, that's not part of it.
Mi gente, órale. There's a common urge to get involved with our community that we need to help. It's in dire need. We can't let this politicians take over our community. Pre-K for SA is a good resource. It's a good program. As mayor, what I want to do is create a program that can help alleviate our youth from getting into problems after school programs. Our parents, our mothers come home from work, they're tired, right? I think our city, the funding's there. We just need to reallocate funding to programs that make sense, right? That's what we're saying. These programs pre-exist, guys. It's just they don't put it, there's a lack of attention that we need to address to help these problems. As running for mayor, I think you would think that it doesn't take nothing but a high school education to understand what problems that we need as a community. We keep on veering from left to right and scratching our heads, but the important thing is our youth. We create after-school programs for families, and we try to alleviate problems and put money back into your pocket, funded through our city. Thank you.
Vote J in May. So 2 years ago, I was actually asked to run for mayor, and I began to start talking to teachers at that time. So my team and I, we developed an initiative called Every School, Every Teacher, Every Student. And so also we had the conversations at the state level, because that's not a city level situation. But a lot of teachers were telling me that they had to use their own funds to buy supplies. Another teacher told me that teachers were being laid off, they were being fired, or they were quitting. So we have to make sure we're very competitive with how we pay our teachers. And we have to have an alliance with the state. I met with a state rep 2 Sundays ago, and this is just facts. He told me, he said, Jay, when we hear the word San Antonio, we all cringe in the state. I have the ability to rework that relationship. Vote Jay in May.
Once again, Dr. Tim Wesley. One of the differences you'll find with me is I've been in the classroom. I was a 7th and 8th grade math and science teacher. I was a university instructor for over 10 years, so I know education. And currently, with the Department of Defense, I oversee 32 locations providing guidance for education specialists. So I'm not just going to be talking about what I think can work. I've been in that classroom, and what I found, 3 main things. One is funding. How do we pay for it? That's one of the things I did at San Antonio College as an employee there. I taught the students about financial literacy and how to pay for their education to graduate without debt. Secondly, how do we gain entry? Many students don't know how they get into college. How can they get in? We can have a hub with the city of San Antonio, virtual and actual, where they learn about these things and learn about the economics. And thirdly, how do we finish? Ultimately, many drop out for one reason or another. But with this hub, we can give them tips on how to complete their education. Once again, Dr. Tim Wesley.
I just want to say I am completely frustrated with the state of Texas, the way it refuses to fund public education, and I think most of you are too. I've been a public school teacher. I taught for 25 years here in San Antonio in both public schools and some of the Catholic schools in the city. I know the struggles the schools are going through, but also there are things the state or the city has been doing. Many of you probably have heard about Pre-K for SA, where thousands of students have gone through that training, hitting early childhood when it's the most important. We've also had a program called Cafe College, which helps young students when they're getting ready to go to college, and some people have benefited from that. One thing I would like to see the city do is put together a corps of volunteers, of tutors, who would go into the classrooms and work particularly in what you heard with 2nd, 3rd, and 4th graders who are struggling to meet the goals for their education. I'd like to see us do this, and we can help seniors with a tax break who volunteer to do that.
Okay, thank you for those responses, candidates. So moving on to small businesses now. We are more than halfway through with this forum, so thank you very much for everyone's patience out here. And again, focus on small businesses right now. Small businesses are the backbone of our local economy. What strategies will you adopt to support their growth, reduce bureaucratic hurdles, and promote entrepreneurship in underserved areas?
You know, we've got a competing. Hold on. We've got two competing worldviews up here, right? On one side is everything's terrible, it's so scary, they suck, they're horrible. The other one is we got potential. We got limitless potential. In San Antonio, I love our potential and I believe in it, which is why over the last 8 years, as the chairman of economic development for the city, we have thrown all our weight behind small businesses. Just during COVID alone, I went to DC and I helped bring more than $1.5 billion of your tax dollars back to San Antonio, and we turned around and churned that money out, not to big businesses, not to rich developers, but to small businesses like yours and all the small businesses that belong to the small business chambers of commerce. What would I do? I wouldn't stop there. It would become a permanent line item in the city forever in our city budget.
One of the things that we continue to hear over and over is that small business owners need access to capital. I believe that the city should be focused on making sure that they do have access to capital. But I also do believe that the programs that we have as a city should be marketed further. I'm an educator. I teach at Our Lady of Lake University. I teach marketing. So I always tell my students, make sure that you get the message out. One of the things that I don't think that we do enough of at the city is get that message out to small business owners. But beyond that, go to them. We can't wait for them to come to us. And by the way, if you're running a small business, you don't have the time to leave your job, to leave what you're doing, to leave what makes your money, and go and figure out how to apply for a very convoluted process of a program. And so making that easier, streamlining those processes is critical. But also I believe that we need to have liaisons that know the communities that we're serving. Not liaisons that know in general how to push paper and how to push paper or computer applications, but that know our communities.
So back in 2019 to 2021, I actually worked on the Sabeta board here in San Antonio. And that was a board that advocated for all small businesses here in San Antonio. So I want to make sure that we have those Sabeta programs out there for everybody to go ahead and take advantage of. One thing about a mayor is actually going ahead and getting everybody on one accord. Our mayor doesn't do too much. The city manager and city council actually put things in place. So having those conversations, holding people accountable is something that we definitely need to do. And that's all I want to do is just hold people accountable. So advocating for our small businesses, I didn't know about funding. That's why I went for the board, because I wanted to know more on what the city could offer me or what I could take advantage of. So I self-educated and made sure that I was aware, and I helped many other businesses go ahead and get started with everything that they needed. So one thing is pushing marketing is what we need to do. Thank you.
I hosted a small business roundtable, and their feedback was, you know what, I don't need a plan for the city to save us. What we need you to do is just finish the construction so people can come to our small businesses and spend their money. So I think it's really important that we really get a handle of these delayed construction projects and understand the impact that they are having on our small businesses in particular. I think it's also important that we are thinking of our small businesses in the context of our major opportunities as a city. San Antonio is the 21st largest manufacturing exporting region in the country, right? So we should be thinking about how do we go from 21 to 17 to 14, working in concert with our chambers and our San Antonio Manufacturing Association, our South Texas Business Partnership. But there also has to be a role there. We have to be cognizant of supporting our small businesses to also get there. The governor wants to bring a cyber command here. Again, just having worked on national security my entire career, I know that's a great opportunity for us. But when we think about that, we also have to be thinking about small businesses' role as part of that as well.
The reality is that tapping potential takes economic perspective. If I was sitting on city council today, I'd be already taking the action to diversify across higher growth sectors. The reality is that we don't benefit from all the booms of the U.S. economy because we don't have proper economy for it. But we weather all the busts. I want you to think of 2008's crash. I want you to think of the COVID pandemic. I want you to think of inflation. All of you guys paid the price for inflation. Now, when we look at the perspective of the Fed increasing rates, that's affecting you as well. The reality is that we have a true economic issue here. And businesses, which are small, only work when the environment is conducive to have corporate involvement. Why? Because there's a labor force participation that exists behind that corporation. And they are the ones who are spending money at Martinez Tire, or at the taco shop, or at the gas station. That doesn't happen unless we have corporate involvement. I'm here to push that.
So I'm a small business owner. And as a small business owner, I'll tell you, small business owners don't want government handouts. What they want is a government, a city government that actually works for them, that works in the services that they're offering. And one of the services is construction, the never-ending construction. Raise your hand if you've been impacted by construction. Everyone. That's why I'm proposing a construction czar, someone that can be the glue between CPS, SOS, the private sector, and small businesses. And over-communication should be our goal as a city government. I also want to expand the Phase 2 program for small businesses to ask for help in the creation of their LLCs, and to make it easier for small businesses to ask for loans, and support Launch San Antonio to get startups off the ground and create more jobs in San Antonio. But we want a city that works for us. Thank you.
Real quick, okay? Who remembers back in the 60s and 70s when there used to be all little small businesses around the neighborhoods, mom and pop stores, shoe repair shops and everything? Y'all remember that, right? Well, those things changed, okay? Now we're over here in the new century. Now we got little businesses that are having problems, okay? The problem is, it's not the business, it's not the city. It's how the city can help you, okay? But first what we have to do, okay, those small businesses, they get their supplies from a distributor. That distributor gets them from a supplier. It's not what we can do for you. It says what do you want us to do for you? Because I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you, okay? We can make promises, but unless we get to the source, we're never gonna find out how we can help all the small businesses here in San Antonio. Because everybody, we need to support you, make sure that you stay in business. Thank you.
All right, you're right. San Antonio has 96% of our businesses are small businesses. So we need to take care of them. We started a program up in District 10 called the Northeast Corridor Program, where we gave out grants. It took a part of my budget, and we need to do that across San Antonio, taking part of your budget and offering those as grants to small businesses to help them upgrade their business, their outsides, their facades, their landscaping, that kind of thing. But not only that, we need to take a look at the companies that we own, or the businesses that we own. San Antonio, we own SAWS and CPS. They are killers to small businesses expanding and growing and even starting. We need to work with them to help them see that we need to help our small businesses here in San Antonio, because they are our lifeline here. Thank you.
As a small business owner, I think one of the major issues that small businesses face regularly is access to capital. And so when we look at post-COVID and the impact that it's had on our small business community, they're still reeling. You have businesses that are operating 50% at what they are anticipated at this stage. And it's because the city has shut the street down in front of their businesses, preventing them for getting the vehicular and the pedestrian traffic that we're so desperately need in order to be able to sell our products and or services. So it's about creating public-private partnerships that allow for our businesses to participate in this amazing economy that San Antonio is growing. We have a $5 billion worth of economic activity taking place. Imagine if we went into a buy local mandate, that before you can source beyond our borders, you have to first find a business locally to fulfill that obligation, and that impact that it has on our local economy. I'm Robert Melvin, and I'm running for mayor.
So I've had the pleasure of being able to lead one state chamber, 3 local chambers. And in my experience, I'm finding that we lead by haves and have-nots. There are certain chambers that get all the opportunities for their members, and then most of the chambers don't get any attention. And that's not fair to you, because in the South Side, we've seen a neglect of our small businesses. When I chaired the small business advocacy, I pushed the city to make sure that we did procurement with our small businesses. I will strengthen local ordinances to make it so that you get contracts. I agree, public agencies have lots of money. And I'm looking at Stella Bustos with Knee Back Pillow, who fought with VIA for 12 years. And my wife and I went to her side to say she deserves a contract. And I'm saying it again tonight, she deserves a contract. VIA, all the CPS, they all have contracts for small businesses, but they don't want to do business with us. We need to have them to do more. Thank you so much.
So I want to start off by saying we do have potential. We have unlimited potential here, but we can't ignore the problems that we have, because that's going to drag us down and that potential won't flourish. And if we keep putting it on the back burner and closing our eyes, the city's just going to continue to go into a spiral. So with that being said, as far as small businesses, again, it needs to be transparent. We need to know who's making these deals. We need to streamline these deals. We need to ensure that anyone on city council that's involved with these small business loans or handing them out, that they didn't have a say in who's getting those things, that they're not their friends, it's not someone close to them. Because we heard at the other forum the other day that happened with the airport, that someone had called their buddy and said, put in for this bid, and then they got it. So we need to make sure that it's transparent, and that's where it starts. Anyone that touches those things needs to be recorded and been brought into the public eye.
Yeah. Yeah, what Chris was saying is correct with that. I'm not an economist, and I don't have a small business. I definitely don't have a large business. So on that aspect, I really can't speak of. But what I do know is that we need to make it easier for people who want to start a business. If you want to start a business, you need to be able to go out there and get your loan if you need your loan. I know it's easier to get a $100,000 school loan than it is to get a $10,000 business loan. Now, why would that be? Because schools are ran by banks, ran by banks. The banks run everything. The banks own everything. Doesn't matter. You can choose whatever topic they want to choose it. The bank owns it, and you're working for the bank every time. So we need to be able to make it easier for a new business owner wanting to start a business, be able to get out there and get that loan just as easy as it is to get that $100,000 school loan.
Pocket lining, people love pocket lining. The new arena, using our dollars and spending it somewhere else. Ain't that wonderful? They did that with the Alamo Dome. Taxpayer money, that's why we grew so slow, folks. Don't you realize that? Let's wake up, let's get community back involved. We're gonna have this, like Mrs. Ortiz said, Port USA, right? Ain't that great? But what about the area around Port USA? Our industries are gonna hurt, low businesses are gonna hurt. How do we put money back into people's pocket? Expanding the South Side, where we grow, where towards Port USA is at. That's where we wanna go. Mission San Juan is proclaimed a national park, right? It's right under our nose, fellowship. We can see it. We go underneath, we direct traffic towards Mission San Juan. Let's use our history and our culture. Let's make a city a better place to live. We do free vending for our community. Let's make it an eco-friendly system where our tourists can walk, run, jog, play, eat, fun, and create a corridor inch with Via Link and get intact with our public transportation. Thank you.
Vote J in May. So guys, I've actually had the pleasure of opening a couple business here in San Antonio. One was the automobile purchase consultant business. And one thing I found out is that there's a lot of help here. One is at UTSA downtown. Matter of fact, on my way here, I was speaking to someone who called and asked me for advice on opening a business. And I told them, I said, hey, contact the Small Business Development Center. They can help you with different avenues to get your business started, from creating the LLC, from getting funding, from doing your business plan, all those things. But yes, the city does need to be involved in those things. And just right quick, Guys, last year we had a $32 million budget for homelessness. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I am a builder. And we still have a homeless problem. This year we have a $44 million budget for homelessness. And I guarantee after this year we may still have a homeless problem. So I think it goes back to transparency.
Thank you, Jay. Yes, I know the monitor did go out. I've been keeping time. Thank you.
So it looks like the timer has gone off, so I'll wrap up in 10 minutes. That's all.
I'm keeping time, yes.
All right.
I'm keeping time. Go ahead,
All right.
Dr.
What's that
Wesley.
again? I thought you said take my time. Okay, all right. Well, nevertheless, I like to keep it simple. We need a small business coalition. We need a space for small businesses to meet, and we have to change some things. One thing I saw that was upsetting and disappointing was recently when the city manager went from having the ability to spend up to $50,000, and that went up to $1 million. And that $1 million is a problem. Why is it a problem? Before that, the city council was in charge of that. And so now all of a sudden, when we have small businesses that's wanting to compete for those small business grants, et cetera, and also those contracts, it's going to be difficult for us to have a say in it. And so I want to see that changed. And secondly, I want to make sure we change the buddy system. Too often we have the buddy system in San Antonio, and it's time for us to change that. It's time for small business to be able to compete. And finally, it's time for us to listen to the small business owners. Many small businesses closed this year, and who was at fault? The city of San Antonio. It's time for a change, and it's time for Dr. Tim Wesley.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Small businesses are the lifeblood of San Antonio. How many of you here have ever had a job with a small business? A lot of hands go up. Many of you will in the future. Hopefully many of you own small businesses. The city of San Antonio is committed to supporting small businesses. We do it in multiple ways. We have an incubator program called Launch SA, where we help small businesses begin. The city funds a lot of money into the LIFT Fund, which helps small businesses when they need loans. And most importantly, when businesses were closed during the pandemic, we put over $30 million into supporting and helping those small businesses. Yes, San Antonio can also get in the way. So we do need to get out of the way of small businesses sometimes, but that means listening to the Small Business Advisory Council that we have. That means listening to the Chambers of Commerce. That means doing a better job in growth and development so we're not shutting down the streets and eliminating the opportunity for your customer to show up at your business. Those are the kinds of things that I would be looking to see that this city does a better job at as your next mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Senior citizen healthcare earlier. This will be focused more on all ages when it comes to healthcare. In San Antonio, life expectancy in the south side, the near west and east side lags by up to 20 years compared to our northern areas. As mayor, how will you tackle these health disparities and attract healthcare professionals to serve in these underserved communities?
So it's work I'm already doing. In my district, we are home to the medical center. However, many, many years ago, I was the chairman of Brook City Base. Did you know that back then there was no hospital on the south side that we can consider a full-service hospital? Today, there is Mission Trails Hospital. I led the team that brought that, and we created a hospital for you guys where for the first time in history, you can have a heart attack or a baby on the south side without having to drive all the way to my district. We need more of those. Right now, I'm working on another project, and with the help of Councilwoman Adriana Rocha Garcia, to bring you more hospitals to the south side. There needs to be a hospital on every single side of town, and the next mayor needs to, with the same energy with which we fund the NCAA basketball team, we need to redirect that kind of funding into making sure that moms have nutrition, that babies have, food at home, but also that they're healthy and they live just as long as my kids will live on the north side.
Thank you, Councilman. So I was informed that we're trying to limit these responses to about 30 seconds now because Palo Alto, they got to turn the lights off on us here. Thank you very much, Councilman.
Got it. I'll tell you what I've done for you all on the south side in healthcare. I brought vaccines to the south side. I helped bring vaccines to access to the east and west sides of San Antonio. I've also made sure that we stood up for you all and invested $600,000 for seed money for a Center for Health Equity in South Texas so that we could continue to bring healthcare to the south side.
Thank you.
As we heard from our city council people that, they're being held accountable to do things for their district. So as mayor, I want to hold people accountable. Make sure that they're getting the word out on what we have in our community. Back in 2015, I lost my son, and in 2021, I was diagnosed with cancer, and I overcame that. So getting the word out there that we have resources is what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I consider our public health as much as an economic issue as any other. So I would want to make sure that we're protecting Metro Health, making sure that's robust, so that is able to gather the information that we need to make good decisions at the local level. Unfortunately, as you're seeing cuts at the federal level and at the state level, it is an economic issue when we are seeing an increase in teenage pregnancy in our state. For the first time in 15 years, we saw that in 2002 due to the abortion ban. And now we're not seeing OBGYNs. They don't want to come here. They don't want to train here. And that is also an economic issue. So we've got to think about these things at the same time. And as your mayor, I would do that.
Supply and demand. There's no doubt with those statistics that the demand for more hospitals exists. And it's existed for well over 50 years now. Why don't we have more hospitals? As a small business owner, multiple small businesses, I know that if there is demand for my product, I'm moving in. The reality is that there's a lot of red tape when it comes to this. We need to look at what is not being transparent when it comes to these hospitals, when it comes to these hospital groups building more, or outside hospital groups wanting to build in San Antonio. Something is happening behind there, and we need to take a closer look. I hope to do that.
We need to invest in the health of the south side of San Antonio. Tenemos que invertir en nuestra gente del sur de San Antonio, sí o sí. And one of the things that we need to do is invest in more hospitals in the south side of San Antonio, specialized clinics, access to healthy foods in the south side of San Antonio, access to green spaces, more sidewalks so our community, nuestra gente pueda caminar sin que lo vayan a atropellar, caray. And we also got to make sure that we support our youth with mental health services in the south side of San Antonio. Thank you.
There you go. You are correct, okay? We do need a hospital on the south side, in the west side, okay? But we have to make sure that the funding from the federal and state government, we can say if it's coming or not, okay? We need to find out how we're going to support ourselves, where we're going to find the money, and dig deep to get the money out so we can build new hospitals. Thank you.
Well, you got public health and you have private health care. There's hospitals being built by the private side, but the city does not build hospitals. It's done by the county. The county provides the public health system for this area, for San Antonio. So we need to keep pressure on the county because they are taking a lot of our tax dollars and spending it. And we need to make sure they're spending it in the right places here in the county, which includes San Antonio. So again, the city doesn't fund hospitals. The county does. Hold them responsible.
So the South Side had Texas Vista Medical Center that closed in 2023 with the promise that you're going to get a new hospital in 2027. Make that make sense. So when we're talking about the health inequities that take place, what are we supposed to do for the next 3 years when we're trying to wait for a new hospital to be built when our medical conditions require us to have access to urgent care or emergency services? So we have to start being more intentional before we close doors, make sure we have a solution in place that allow for us to continue to provide coverage for our citizens.
As I opened up, if I was in the South Side, I'd be at City Hall protesting that you didn't know about this 20-year disparity of age. I, as mayor, will deploy mobile health units. So that way the zip codes that are being hit the most will be serviced. I'm a stage 4 cancer survivor, so I know about health. I also know that I did a lot of research online, but there's a digital divide of 20% of our city. As mayor, we're going to shore up the digital divide so everyone has access to health information.
So this question is about life expectancy on the lower sides of town or south side, east side, whatever you want to say. So in my mind, it doesn't make sense to me how we would fund out-of-state abortions. That, to me, seems like that ends life expectancy right at the beginning. What we could also do is go to the county, put pressure, ask them to build more hospitals. They need to be here. But if you're talking about life expectancy, the two don't match.
Yeah, hey, there's a lot of excitement with the hospital stuff going on. If there's no hospitals out here, it's up to you guys. That's up to you guys. You guys need to call your councilman. You guys need to call your mayor and be on them. You know, there's nothing being built out here because the demand is not being pushed out. You know, they always say, hey, call your congressman. Call, you know, you want this, call this person. Call them. They're right here. They're all sitting right there. Give them a call.
Healthcare, folks, we live genuine in healthcare. My team, what we would do is get up and link up with University Hospital. There's a program that's called CareLink. What we do is we have seasonal employees here in Riverwalk. We need to take care of our seasonal employees, people. What we do is CareLink, we link with the employer, and we offer a solution through that program that pre-exists here to San Antonio. So as mayor, what I want to do is help the people that don't have health care that utilize these programs, and sitting down with these companies like University Hospital, we can help alleviate that problem.
Vote JMA. All right, so University Hospital, man, it's a wonderful hospital. But once again, we don't control any of that. That's done through the county. But I do want to revert back. One good thing that your city council has done, there's a pending $1.4 million reimbursement for small businesses that were hurt by the traffic. So you need to call one of them and see if you can get some help if you got a small business that has been hurt because of the road construction. Vote JMA.
Ultimately, we have to triage the situation. And what I mean by that, we know that we have issues in different parts of town and a lack thereof. One of the things we can do is look at what we have that does work. We know that hospitals in the University Center area, they work. We can partner with places like HEB, places like Walmart, and get medical professionals in there to begin to triage people and provide services. And lastly, we can make sure we give land grants and also tax incentives to work with private hospital builders to bring them into San Antonio in the parts that's needed. Once again, Dr. Tim Wesley.
You've heard from everybody up here tonight. You need to decide, can they deliver as the next mayor? I want to remind you that I have delivered. I've told you some things I've accomplished, but we're talking about health today. We need more hospitals. We need more medical professionals. But today, I worked with a program that relieved 45,000 of your friends and relatives and neighbors in this community of $60 million of their medical debt. That's delivering to the people in San Antonio. That's why I want to be your mayor.